welcome back. If you love strategy games but are tired of playing alone, in this video, I'll tell you about some great real-time strategy games that you can easily play with friends today. But first, here are the winners of the previous giveaway. I'll message you after this video is released. Next time, we'll be giving away 5 more Steam keys. To participate, just subscribe, leave a like, and write a comment. Northgard. This is one of those rare cases where a completely new name in the RTS genre quickly gained popularity among players worldwide. Controlling a small band of wandering Vikings, you'll not only have to fight for control of uncharted lands against other clans, but also survive in the harsh conditions of the wild. In Northgard's co-op mode, players are placed on a randomly generated map with randomized objectives that they must complete either in a player versus player format or by teaming up against AI-controlled enemies. Arcane Wilds. A beautiful strategy game in the style of a Western combined with sorcery. Here, you'll need to develop your own colony and defend it from monster attacks. Players control a small squad of gunslingers armed with machine guns and dynamite. Your gang must take control of the Wild West, but this is a slightly different reality. The local creatures are capable of using magic and controlling monsters. The real-time gameplay requires participants to skillfully manage their units, who must collect resources, build homes, and defend their territory from invasions. Up to 8 players can play together, each controlling a random plot of land on the continent. Each colony can wage war and use a wide range of weapons, from muskets to wheeled machine guns. And don't forget about magic. Conan Unconquered. This is a cooperative real-time strategy game with survival elements, where players must defend a small area, develop its potential, and launch a powerful counterattack to drive away invaders. The game is specifically designed for co-op play with 2 players. Together, players manage a single base, building structures, training armies, and defending the fortress from relentless waves of diverse monsters. Some of the game's standout features include its extreme brutality, non-stop action, and the ability to summon mighty gods for help. Call to Arms: Gates of Hell, Ostfront. This game stands out by allowing players to switch between first-person, third-person, or classic top-down strategy views for any unit. The setting is World War II, where players command their armies on a global map and also fight directly on the battlefield as ordinary soldiers. In addition to its unique mix of genres, the game also offers co-op gameplay, allowing you to complete the campaign with other players or battle against AI in customizable matches. This is a great choice if you're looking to try something radically different from traditional RTS games. Age of Empires 4. This game combines the best elements from over 20 years of the series' history. However, compared to the classic entries, the gameplay here is faster-paced. In co-op mode, players must work together to defend their territories from enemies, while also capturing new lands to expand their empire and ultimately share control of the entire world. But since this is still Age of Empires, it's easier said than done. Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition. If, after playing the modern version of Age of Empires, you want to experience true RTS classics, I highly recommend checking out the second game in the series. More specifically, the 2019 remaster, which is rightfully considered a benchmark for how iconic strategy games should be remastered. The game is set in the dark and brutal Middle Ages, where players can choose from 13 different civilizations, each with its own strengths and weaknesses. In co-op mode, you can play through the campaign or jump straight into a chosen map to battle against AI or face off against each other. Kingdom 2 Crowns. This is a continuation of the 2D strategy series designed specifically for co-op play. The game stands out not only for its unconventional pixel art style and side-scrolling perspective, unusual for an RTS, but also for its gameplay. Here, you literally play as a king on horseback, personally overseeing the construction of new cities and the expansion of your kingdom. 2 Crowns doesn't just allow co-op play, it actively encourages it. One player can become the king's loyal vassal, taking on some of the ruler's responsibilities. This allows players to explore more territories, gather more resources, and fortify the city walls during the day. This is crucial because, at night, the world is invaded by insatiable creatures of darkness that sweep away everything in their path. Halo Wars Definitive Edition, a successful experiment in creating a strategy game that is comfortable to control with a gamepad. That said, Halo Wars also plays excellently on PC, especially in co-op mode, which allows you to complete the campaign with a friend online. The game offers a gripping storyline that reveals new details about the Halo universe, a large variety of units and tactical maneuvers, as well as a stunning visual design with breathtaking alien landscapes and large-scale battles against the Covenant forces. Men of War Assault Squad 2. This military strategy game features co-op gameplay for up to 8 players. Together, players can challenge an AI-controlled opponent on the battlefields of World War II. In terms of gameplay, this is a pure RTS experience where nothing distracts you from the battle, not even base building. Instead, you command combat vehicles and infantry, capture control points, and use earned points to summon new reinforcements. Naturally, playing with friends makes it all the more fun. Dawn of War 3, an often underrated entry in the legendary strategy series. Bloody, brutal, and exactly as it should be, the game brings back all kinds of orcs, noble Eldar, and loyal space marines, immersing them in the familiar Warhammer universe. Of all the minor changes, the most notable is the introduction of heroes. Each faction has its own hero unit with a pool of unique abilities. With the right balance adjustments, these hero units can shape the pace and development of multiplayer battles. Even without activating their special abilities, heroes can mercilessly destroy entire hordes of enemies. However, summoning a hero requires significant resources. In co-op mode, players can form alliances for epic multiplayer clashes. The more strategists on the map, the more intense the battle. To achieve victory, players must combine hero abilities with those of other units to create complex combos, making micromanagement essential. Stronghold Crusader 2, a medieval castle management simulator with dynamic gameplay and highly detailed, destructible environments. In Stronghold Crusader 2, players build castles, raise armies, and lay siege to enemy fortresses while defending against enemy raids. All of this takes place in the setting of the Middle East in 1189 AD, featuring era-appropriate units and structures. In co-op mode, players can jointly control a castle, manage armies, and oversee resources together. Cossacks 3. This famous game series also offers a co-op mode. In multiplayer battles, players can team up to fight against other players or AI-controlled opponents. In terms of gameplay, it's a classic RTS experience with base building and unit production. However, what sets Cossacks 3 apart is its sheer scale. Tens of thousands of units can be present on the battlefield at once. The game also realistically simulates bullet and shell trajectories, as well as the actions of every individual soldier. SpellForce 3, a game that combines RPG and RTS mechanics. Base building and unit production are blended with hero progression and a dialogue system, while the campaign missions feature elements of both genres. True to the theme of this list, SpellForce 3 supports cooperative play for its gripping campaign. However, in multiplayer, allies can quickly become rivals. Iron Harvest. This game takes us to an alternate history where World War I soldiers fight alongside fearsome dieselpunk mechs. With such a unique army, you'll battle for the future of Europe, which faces new horrors even after the global conflict has supposedly ended. You can play through the entire strategy campaign with a friend. Expect an engaging story campaign and plenty of challenges. And if you and your friend are looking for smarter opponents, multiplayer mode is the place to be. Sins of a Solar Empire 2, a real-time space strategy about galactic warfare where players expand their territories, upgrade their space fleets, engage in diplomacy, and try to eliminate the military power of their rivals. Players can choose from 3 unique races and numerous factions, each with its own playstyle and strategies. Competitive multiplayer supports up to 10 players, each selecting from the available playable factions. Each civilization has unique starting conditions, special mechanics, and the ability to research rare technologies and create unique combat units. Mechabellum. This is an auto-battler focused on mechs, where you must upgrade and position armies of mechs on the battlefield to face off in automatic PvP and PvE battles. The game features a large selection of robots, from light and agile units to heavy, powerful ones. Each type has its own strengths and weaknesses, which you must consider to win in both cooperative and competitive matches. In large-scale PvP battles, players deploy their mech armies. Their squads can include massive war robots and aerial aircraft that strike enemy backline units. Players can experiment with different unit combinations, call in airstrikes, or send waves of fast units to disrupt enemy strategies. Battlefleet Gothic, Armada 2, a real-time strategy game focused on tactics and cinematic battles between gigantic space warships. The gameplay stays true to the original game's core mechanics, but introduces new features like 3 large story campaigns, larger battles, improved fleet customization, and rebalanced online multiplayer. The competitive mode is designed for 2 players and feels like a digital version of a tabletop wargame. Each player can choose from 12 factions and 6 sub-factions, all of which are similar in stats but have distinct ship abilities. The fleet customization is now deeper than ever, allowing for detailed upgrades and adjustments to suit your strategy. Godsworn, a classic real-time strategy game themed around mythological tales of crusades, pagan tribes, and heavenly armies. Players take control of a mortal kingdom and strive to bring glory to it under the watchful eyes of Norse gods. The cooperative campaign supports 2 players who must unite pagan tribes and choose a side in the grand conflict, either the Baltic pagans or the Crusaders. Competitive battles are split into duels and team matches, where participants race to build religious structures, train armies, and wage war against their enemies. Planetary Annihilation, Titans, a massive real-time strategy game played across multiple planets that you can both destroy and colonize to gain a tactical advantage over your enemies. Planets are either procedurally generated or custom-built by other players. Your task is to create a colossal army to crush your enemies in both multiplayer and single-player modes. You can fortify an entire planet, turning it into an impenetrable fortress that generates resources for building a massive army of thousands of units. Battles can take place on a single planet or escalate into interplanetary wars spanning an entire galaxy. These conflicts can last for hours, delivering epic large-scale combat like no other. Terminator, Dark Fate Defiance. In the story campaign, players take on the role of a human army commander trying to thwart Legion's plans to wipe out civilization. In multiplayer mode, however, you can play as Skynet and attempt to exterminate humanity. The game doesn't just focus on Terminators. Players will command infantry, tanks, planes, and other military units. Multiplayer battles feature various formats. All factions have limited resources, requiring players to consider armor characteristics, component malfunctions, and damage systems. Combat arenas support full building destruction, adding extra tactical opportunities. Ancestors' Legacy, a medieval real-time strategy game that recreates the conflicts of 4 factions inhabiting the European part of Eurasia. Vikings, Anglo-Saxons, Germans, and Slavs are ready to clash in a battle for the continent's future. Using the unique strategic traits of each faction, commanders must build a strong economy, foster a loyal society, and arm their troops with the best weaponry. The game culminates in critical moments where players wage war on each other, with success hinging on careful planning and preparation. Multiplayer battles are fast-paced and more intense, Unlike the campaign, all players start with equal resources and a single squad of soldiers. Multiplayer emphasizes speed, with players researching technologies and constructing military-focused buildings to gain an edge. Total War: Three Kingdoms. A grand strategy game combining real-time battles with the aesthetic beauty of ancient China and a deeply detailed turn-based system for managing your empire. Players must strengthen their clan's military, manage the economy, make political decisions, and negotiate with rivals. The multiplayer mode lets you conquer China in competition with another player, offering higher tension and faster dynamics. Cooperative play, however, is where the game shines with both strategic and tactical modes. Players can collaborate deeply, trading, sharing resources, and combining efforts for covert espionage. Company of Heroes 3, the latest entry in the large-scale real-time military strategy series set in the European theater of war. This time, the cinematic conflict moves to the Mediterranean, where players are tasked with capturing key cities. Coastal towns differ significantly from mainland fortifications, requiring virtual generals to devise new tactics. The variety of factions and combat units is showcased in competitive battles, where each side can utilize heavy tanks, aircraft, paratroopers, artillery, and more. Successful offensives rely on establishing supply lines, deploying forward troops strategically, and conducting aerial reconnaissance. The new installment enhances cooperative play and introduces fresh mechanics to its 8-player multiplayer mode. That's all for now. I hope this helps you find a great game to enjoy with your friends. The Image Game Channel was with you. Have a nice day.
Just wanna pack up my things and go. Just wanna be free, just wanna zone. Just wanna flow, just wanna hang with the gang, but sometime chill on my own. Just wanna do me, just wanna doze. Just wanna live and see how it goes. And the goals just keep on going, yeah.